Hello, everybody. So we are going to be trying something a little different today.
Yes.
Generally, we do more like opinion pieces. We've tried to make things a little more factual,
And I
a
think
little
people have
more
probably had enough of our
straightforward.
opinions at this point.
Yeah, a little more YouTubey, I think this one is. So yeah,
YouTube.
we've tried to make it a little different. We've gone through like 10 of the worst sequels ever. But they're
Yes.
not the literal worst sequels ever.
No.
There's just a handful of sort of more high profile, maybe a few that you don't know, didn't even know was a sequel.
Hmm.
We sort of chucked it in so you can see where there's like things like the IMDb rating is what we've gone on to
Yeah.
get like a difference there. We've gone a worldwide box office to see the difference there so we can get like a percentage and see which is the worst. Apart
Yes.
from one where I went to domestic box office, which we will
Okay.
get into later on.
Oh yes.
So let's get into it.
Let's do this.
Number 10. It's Grown Ups 2.
Two.
So the original movie had an IMDb rating of 6.0 out of
That's
10.
that's quite high for that film alone.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
The second one went down to a 5.4 out of 10. So literally a drop of zero point 0.6. It's nothing really.
Yeah.
The worldwide box office for the original was 272 million and other numbers.
I usually just round
This,
up. I usually just round up.
yeah, it's about 272 million compared to this one, which is about 247 million.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
again, like a difference of a 9% drop. It's not drastic. It
No.
kind of feels a bit like the first film was okay. The second one was a little worse.
Yeah.
A few little tidbits
Yeah.
on the side. This is apparently the first sequel that Adam Sandler ever did.
Yeah. I saw that in your notes, and I was like, "Is that true?" But yeah, it is true.
It is, yeah, which is kind of crazy, when you think
So
about it. Like
weird.
he's just a one and done kind of guy.
Yeah. He
Like,
just does a film. It kind of tanks. He moves on to the next one.
yeah, it's bizarre. This was nominated for 8 Razzies, which seems a little harsh when you
I
look at
I
what.
mean, to begin with, I fucking hate the Razzie Awards. Like, they just seem
Yeah,
so, at this point, to keep them going, just seems so stupid. But whatever, I
yeah,
guess.
they are stupid. I kind of include them in this because it's sort of like it's
Yeah, it
just a
works.
noteworthy thing. It kind of shows you what people thought of it when it
Yeah,
came out. Some interesting cameos in this. So
yeah.
we had my man, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We have Shaquille O'Neal, and for some reason, Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Patrick.
Who was recently
So I
in Gen
was
V,
like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
he's
I
like
don't know who
Golden
he
Boy
is.
in Gen V. I'm pretty sure he's Golden Boy in Gen V.
Oh, okay, fair, fair. Yeah, because they seem to make a thing of being like, look, it's Arnold's son. And I was like, okay,
No.
cool, man. Have you seen this film, Dan?
No, I haven't. I've seen the first one. The first one's like a proper guilty pleasure of mine. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those like really warm, just friendly films where it's just a couple of guys hanging out, being dudes. You know what I mean? Classic, like.
Yeah,
But
Sandra and his mates. Like,
yeah, I saw this trailer for this one and I was like, no, no, this looks horrible.
is
So
is the first one with the bow and arrow?
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I've seen that one for sure. Then I don't know if I've actually seen this myself.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I
yeah,
just remember seeing the trailer for this, and I'm pretty sure there's a scene with Andy Samberg at a drive, what's called car wash, where there's supposed to be like sexy
mm,
girl car wash, and it just made me cringe. So no,
yeah, no, not great, but not bad.
yeah, not bad.
Just mid.
Just mid, yeah, just mid. Number 9 is a film I actually have seen. Alien vs Predator Requiem. Yes,
Requiem,
I never
I
know how to
believe.
actually say that word.
Requiem.
So one of them. So the original
Uh,
movie on IMDb got a 5.7. Now, understandable. Alien vs Predator kind of sucks, but I love it so much.
yeah, it's a guilty
It's
pleasure film,
just
isn't
silly,
it?
and
But
it's just
yeah,
silly.
it
This
is
one
silly.
got a 4.6 out of 10, so it's a difference of 1.1. So
Yeah,
not majorly drastic. I would have expected a lot lower of a drop, but yeah.
100%. Me
Which
too.
we'll get into it. So the worldwide box office for the original will round it up to 173 million, which is really
Hmm.
low. Like that's
Mm.
low. Do you know what I mean?
It felt like it did really well, but then again, I don't know whether it was a case of like maybe DVD sales like
Yeah.
boosted it or
I mean,
something.
yeah, back in the day that was a thing that doesn't go towards it
Mm.
anymore, but yeah, that was the thing
Yeah.
back then. And then this one got 129 million, so it's a difference of
Mm.
around 25%, which is pretty big drop.
No, it is. Yeah, it is a significant drop, and it seemed to just come and go. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize this happened. To
Oh,
be
really?
honest
Have
with
you
you,
never seen
like,
this?
well, I've never seen it. I'm fully aware of the black film that you can't see
That's what I
anything.
was going to say. No
It's
one's
just
seen this.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just dark. That's the kind of joke with this film. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was one of those where I just didn't at the time didn't realize this was a thing
I was like
until like
anticipating this
years
film.
later.
I remember it coming out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be sick." And I watched it, and I was like, "Yeah, it was so good." Wasn't good. So it's a little fact here. So this is the directors. I'm assuming they're two brothers called the Strauss brothers. Never ever heard of them in my life. And this
No,
was their
no
first
idea.
ever film. So I don't know if they went on to do anything else because this was a horrendous first film. They founded a special effects company called Hydraulics. Hydraulics.
I think I would assume it's supposed to be hydraulics.
Yes. And they did films like
Cool, like.
300 and The Day After Tomorrow. That came out after this? Oh,
Yeah, so this is
the two
just
brothers.
generally,
I
yeah.
see.
So they sort of, I think they basically were they wanted to be directors. They couldn't really get anywhere, so they just started a special effects company.
I really respect
and they
that,
did
though.
films. Yeah, so they did films like 300 and Day After Tomorrow. So they wasn't. It's not as if they were just randomers, you know.
Yeah.
Like they did well by the looks of it with special effects, but just really wanted to direct something.
Yeah, I mean, I
this is how it
respect
turned
that
out.
though, and I love reading about special effects companies, which is cool. Obviously, these guys clearly did a lot more CGI than practical because the films mentioned are very CGI heavy. But that's pretty interesting actually. And then they did want to make a third one, but after the reception, it got cancelled, which I always think is a giant shame. And I'm praying now with Prey and Alien Romulus, they managed to make a third one, which would be fucking sick for me. But yeah, any thoughts on Alien vs Predator 2?
No.
Are you gonna watch it?
No,
Are you
the
ever
first
gonna watch
one
it?
that. No, I don't see the point because I know it's like it's not something that I could watch and enjoy because I know it's just a very an actual difficult film
No,
to
it
watch.
is,
Like
yeah,
to actually
yeah.
see this film is so difficult. So I enjoyed the first one. I'm not like massive on the first one. It's as I said, it's a bit of fun. It was kind of around the same time we were getting Freddy vs. Jason, things like that.
Yeah.
So there's fun. But yeah, it's one of those where I wouldn't really care if we never got another one. To be
Fair.
honest,
Yeah, fair.
I think after seeing what they've done, it feels a bit like it could be proven wrong, but it's sort of like stay in your lane sort of thing. Let's not go back to this versus because it generally doesn't work.
See, I almost feel the opposite.
Mm.
Like, I feel like we're missing this, like, period of film that was just fun. Like, I kind of miss just having fun,
Yeah.
silly team-up films that meant nothing. Like you said, with Freddy vs. Jason, and that original
Yeah.
Alien vs. Predator. I feel like we need a bit more fun now. Everything's so, like, dark and gritty and, like, comedy basically doesn't exist anymore. I feel like we need
Yeah.
something stupid. The only stupidity we get now are, like, low-budget Shudder films. So, like, I kind of would
Yeah.
love something.
Yeah, but it's one of those that just doesn't do well either, does it?
Oh, no.
Like financially, it tanks every time.
Yeah.
So I think Hollywood will have to be something huge with a
Yeah.
huge director for them to go anywhere near anything like this
Yeah,
again. Now.
yeah. I agree.
There we go. So number 8 is Dumb and Dumber 2. Yo,
This
Ooh.
film stinks.
I haven't seen this film. to
Oh,
be honest.
really? Oh.
No, I don't think I have. So the original movie on IMDb was a 7.3, which is really good actually.
Yeah, I mean, the first one's
Considering it's-
brilliant.
It is great, but it's stupid.
Yeah.
And so I didn't expect it to be so high for such a stupid film.
Yeah.
Funny, but just silly. But
Mhm.
yeah, this film compared then is a 5.6. Difference of 1.7, which is it's pretty significant.
It's quite a big one.
It's
yeah.
not bad, but it's not great.
Yeah.
So worldwide box office for this was about 246
Yep.
million for the original film. Then this one dropped to 157
Yeah.
million ish,
Jeez.
which is like the difference of about 36%, which is like a massive.
I mean, you'll have to take into fact like inflation, obviously over the years, but still, that is large.
that is huge. Well, if anything, you would expect it to go up due to inflation.
Mhm.
So the fact that it's dropped like 100,000, and again, like maybe taking DVD sales and things like this
Yeah.
into account, it's still a
Stinks.
drop.
Mhm.
So yes, with this one, I've gone back to the awards ceremonies. So it's won the award for the worst male images in a movie from the Women's Film Critics Circle Awards. Weird.
What does
But it
that
was
mean?
just, I have no idea. And it just kind of tickles me to think of like this women's film
They were
critic
sat there and they
circle
were like,
watching this going, this is the worst male image in cinema today. Like this year, as far as male images go,
Dumb and
this is the
Dumber
one I hate
2.
the most. I was like, okay, fair, just an odd award.
It's a
Why
really
that's
weird
even
award.
given? Why that's even a category? I don't know.
That's so weird.
The band Empire of the Sun, do you remember them?
I don't.
Oh, so they. If I could give you a song, I would tell you, and you go, they
I
were
see.
sort of around this time where they they did the entire score basically for this film.
Are they kind of like Smash Mouth?
I'm trying to think. If I can think of a song, I should have really come prepared and gone, they do this song, and you'd have gone, oh, like I think they've probably they had like an album basically.
Let me quickly check the Spotify as you're
I will
going on.
keep speaking and digging myself a hole. So yeah, they did have an album that did pretty well around this time. So I
Okay.
think this was probably a pretty big deal. I know they probably got one or two like big songs. They it was one of those where for the time it was like, oh, here they are everywhere.
They
and
have
then they kinda
25
disappeared.
million monthly listeners. Yeah, they're huge. Okay.
Yeah. So they were definitely there at the time. They're probably still going.
Yeah.
25 million monthly
Mhm.
listeners, so they're still a big band.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was it? Top song, Dan? Did you see
The
this?
Spins?
Spins?
Yeah, The Spins.
No idea. So, so yes, this film had a fascinating production by the sounds of it. So there's a
Yes.
production company. They couldn't get this for anyone. There was a whole mess where Jim Carrey didn't really want to be involved, and it was like it seemed to go through production hell basically. So eventually they got a production company called Red Granite Pictures, who eventually were charged with stealing money from the Malaysian government investment funds to make this film. So they
That's
basically
crazy.
found this random production company who just went, hey, here's a load of money. Where's it come from?
Who knows?
Here's a load of money. So yeah, they basically got charged with it, and I think they settled for like a 60 million fee
Jesus.
after. So they just stole somehow
That's
this
crazy.
film for some reason to make dumb. Can you imagine the court case of going, why did you steal millions of dollars or pounds or whatever
Yeah.
it be from the Malaysian government? Well, we really like Dumb and Dumber, man. You know what I mean? It was just bizarre.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Have you seen this film?
Yeah, I remember watching like half of it and I turned it off. It's just like, I can't even say stupid because that's kind of the point, but it's just so bizarre. Like they try and reference things, like there's a whole Breaking Bad joke in here and stuff like that, and it's just painfully unfunny.
Oh, really?
This is the least funny Jim Carrey film I've ever seen. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I think he really fought to not be in this film,
Yeah.
and I think he ends up turning down like a good few scripts, and then they kind of eventually, like after a few years, managed to get him back on board.
Wasn't this also
but
his
yeah.
first sequel?
Probably, I think so.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
he
I think
doesn't do
this
them,
was
does
the
he?
kind of no. I definitely know he turned down Mask 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he turned down. There was another one. Wait, I think because he did do an Ace Ventura 2.
Oh, of course he
didn't he?
did. Of course he did. Yeah.
And I think that didn't do well, and then this didn't do well. I think since that he's been a bit like.
And then
I
Sonic
think
came
I'm
out and he
gonna
was
stay.
like-
Yeah, and I think that's kind of soured him on sequels, and now obviously, bizarrely, he's kind of done with Hollywood apart from Sonic.
Yeah, it's
so it's kind of
incredible.
like a weird, how things turn out, but yeah.
It's the best. Okay, so number 7, we've got Evan Almighty. Obviously, it's kind of like not really, but it is a sequel to Bruce Almighty. Like it doesn't follow on in any way. It's basically a remake with a different character.
Yeah, but he's the same guy, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
same guy from Bruce Almighty. It's the same Evan from there, but yeah, odd.
So the original film got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. I would say higher.
harsh.
Bruce Almighty's such a banger of a film.
Yeah, no, it is.
This one got 5.4, so the difference of 1.4. Yeah, that seems. I actually would expected it lower again, but people have.
I think it's more a case of the first one should be higher
Yes,
rather than
I
the
totally
second one.
agree.
The second one feels right. The first one should have been higher.
Yeah, I agree with that. So worldwide box office for the original was around 485 million, rounded up, like around there. And this film was 174 million, so a difference of 64%. That's wild. That is wild.
It's huge,
That
isn't
is
it? Yeah, I
crazy.
think that's why that's the slightly lower than the 8 than Dumb and Dumber 2, because as much as like the drop was
Yeah.
bigger as far as IMDb, those numbers were just
That is crazy.
rotten.
To be fair, I don't even remember seeing this film like advertised in the cinema or anything. I just remember it on DVD. So I don't
Yeah,
even know.
100%.
I can't even remember it had a
I'm
cinema.
exactly the
really.
same. Yeah, no.
So the fun facts for this one: when it was filmed, it was the most expensive comedy film ever at 175 million. That's
That's
crazy.
bananas. Why? Like, it was at the time, and I think it has been beaten. I think it was Men in Black 3
That
or
makes
something
sense.
took it back over, or it took over from them. It was one or the other. But yeah, I mean, for this,
That's
why have you? When you
That's
see the
crazy.
film, you can see how they spent
Yeah,
175
yeah.
million, because there's a lot going on there.
There
but
is,
still,
that's
to do it for
crazy.
this film,
Yeah, that's bonkers. There were 177 different species of animals used in this film. Yeah, I feel like they're all on screen at some point as well.
yeah,
That's
which
crazy.
it makes sense. But it's
Yeah.
I think it's just quite interesting to see that, like, in an era now where CGI is so heavy, the fact that they've literally got 177 different species
Yeah, you can't
of
help but
animal.
respect that. That's wild. That
I
is
think
wild.
that's probably where the budget went.
And then Jim Carrey denied coming back for the sequel, saying he doesn't like playing the same character in movies, which we know
Yeah, which is kind
is
of
a fact,
yeah.
and which is why in Sonic 1, 2, and 3, Eggman is so drastically different, because he asked them to change it so many times. But yeah, that's odd. Like the different species of animals really got me there. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Have you? When did you
I have
last
seen
see
this
this?
one.
Because I didn't. I
I
haven't
think
seen this
I've
in about
watched
10
it.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. I think I watched it around the time it came out, because I fucking love Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, same,
Like,
same.
honestly, and I mean, that scene is what makes Bruce Almighty.
Mm-hmm.
So I like going into this. I was like, I love that scene. Of, the whole
Yeah.
sort of like, the reporting scene was so amazing.
Yes.
I thought we were getting that.
Yeah.
I thought we were getting that. Because going into this, I was like so excited, and I just kind of was like, oh.
What is this? Yeah,
I don't get it. It feels like a Moses version of Santa Claus.
Yeah, and it also kind of reminds me of like films like Doctor Dolittle and that back in the day, where it kind of went for
Yeah.
that similar kind of vibe, but it's just really rubbish.
Odd.
It is.
Like, such a weird way to take it. Like, I thought we were going to get a more down his luck, like Broken Evan.
Yeah.
And it was going to go down that road, like almost like, I know you haven't seen, but almost similar to like Anchorman 2, where we would carry on the story, but it would be like a different sort of version of the character,
Yeah.
rather than just being like, he's Moses. Because Bruce Almighty's odd, but he's not God. There's
Yeah.
no like references to God's work. He's not
Yeah.
there with fish and wine and making. Do you know what I mean? There's no like biblical stories. So just gotta go, Evan. He's Moses.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very weird. It's a very odd film, and like it's one of those films that's always on at Christmas. I think we talked about this about something else the other day,
Yeah.
but it's one of those films that's
Yeah.
always on like ITV2 at like December.
no, it's on like
31st.
ITV4.
There
Isn't
you
it?
go.
Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
it's just an odd
Yeah.
one, a really weird film. So
Yeah, I have no idea why they even bothered to make it. To be honest.
no.
So number 6 is Sin City: A Dame to Kill For.
I always
I
just
know.
forget it exists.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It is one of those, isn't
Yeah.
it? So the original movie on IMDb was 8.0 out of 10, which is fair.
That
It
is
is an
good.
absolute banger.
Yeah,
like
it is.
it's a classic, isn't it? Like, people love this film.
Yeah.
So this film comparison is 6.5 out of 10, which is a 1.5 drop, and it feels like it should be more.
Yeah, I feel like this should have gone at least 6. At
Mm.
least 6.
Yeah, I feel like it should have been more of a drop, and I think maybe like just the fact that it's Sin City again, and it's
It's just
that
a property,
like, weird
isn't it? Yeah.
aesthetic sort of thing. Yeah. The worldwide box office, first one, just 159 million.
Makes
Which
sense.
doesn't seem. It does.
Mm.
It doesn't seem a lot. I think this is a huge cult classic. Isn't
Right, this is what I was about to say. This is a cult film above anything else.
Mm.
The fans of the comic book obviously rushed out to watch it, saw what it was. But I think if you were in the nicest way possible, if you were a normal film viewer back then, you were not watching this. Like, you were not seeing
No,
this, and
no,
then you might have
100%.
randomly stumbled across it and went, "Oh shit, this is actually really good." And then
Yeah.
if this came out today, this would be huge. But because we weren't living in a massive comic book era back then, no one cared.
Yeah. I mean, with that all said, for this film to come out and do 41
That's crazy.
billion worldwide, a difference of 74%. A
Mental.
74% drop from 158 million is crazy.
That is crazy.
With all that in mind, you would think as you said, like it had such a cult following, the first film, that you think that come the second one, it would do numbers regardless because of the fan base.
Is this one based on a graphic novel, or is this just a continuation they fancy doing? I can't remember.
So this is, I will explain to you now, sir.
I got
so some of the facts of this. Yeah, so basically this film is a sequel and a prequel.
Yeah.
It's split into 5 different side stories within the Sin City universe. Like I don't know the comic books, never read the comic books. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but it's basically like 5 different chapters. I think A Dame to Kill For is the second or third chapter.
Yeah.
So it splits up into 5 different stories that kind of go before and after the original Sin City and kind of just mess around with it. It took 7 years to get made from the script being correct.
I remember hearing about this. Yeah, I remember hearing about this.
I think it was getting around around Comic-Con, maybe like a year or 2 after the first one. I think there was a Comic-Con where they were like, we're making number 2,
right.
And then it wasn't, and then it was back, and it sounded like another one that just kind of went through production hell, where it was like, we've done a script, it's all ready to go. Is it? No, we're waiting for this person, it's that person. It just seems like it went on and on and on, which, 7 years is a big gap.
It is, it is.
Sequel for a film.
100%.
And then sadly, due to the film taking so long, both Brittany Murphy and Michael Clarke Duncan had to be recast. He was unfortunately passing away before they could start filming, which is really sad.
Yeah.
And I think, with that included, whether it would have helped the film to a degree, probably.
Yeah.
They're both big names, so I think it probably would have helped the film. But yeah, I think it just feels, I think, in a morbid kind of way, that kind of sums up the film. It's a bit sad.
Yeah.
It's sort of one of those where you think the first one's so great.
Yeah, it is.
And they could have done so much with it. And again, as you said, like a lot of people that barely know this film exists. It just sort of felt like they went, "Oh, it's Sin City again," and just nobody cared. This was kind of sad, isn't it?
This was the first film I remember going to watch it, because this is an 18 rated film, isn't it? And I remember going in at like 16 because my brother wanted to watch it, and this was the first film I didn't get ID'd for, so I was like, woohoo! And I came out like, yeah, that was great. And then I watched it a few years back and I was like, oh, this thing stinks.
Yeah, I think I've watched this again probably around the time and just never went back to it again. Like, I really like Sin City, and I think I kind of need to rewatch it. I've seen it quite a few times, but yeah, the original Sin City is a banger.
Well, it took me years to turn on to that first film, because I remember watching it, and the bit where Bruce Willis is in the car and he's literally driving like this, and the fucking background's all doing that. I was like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. And then I remember going back to it and being like, oh, I see, I get what they're trying to say. And then it very quickly became like one of those films that I could just put on quite often and enjoy. But this one, I've seen it twice, and I never want to see it again. It's one of those. It's not like the worst film ever, but it's just rubbish. It is just rubbish.
Yeah, if it wasn't part of Sin City, and I believe they have done another Spirit or something like that.
Oh, The Spirit! Oh my god, I forgot about that.
They did do another, which is sort of like a
have you seen that?
Spirit, no.
Oh my god.
But it's almost a spiritual successor.
Like, I get the style of that, but it is literally just a man running around and all you can see is a red tie for ages. Like, it's fucking bollocks. It's rubbish.
Okay, yeah.
So, moving into number 5, this is Speed 2 Cruise Control. One of the weirdest sequels ever. Like, it's just bizarre.
Why?
Yeah, literally why. So the original movie was a 7.3 on IMDb. I think that's really fair, because Speed isn't the greatest film ever, but it's just a fun film.
It's silly fun, isn't it? It's really stupid, but it is really fun, yeah.
And then this one got a 3.9 out of 10, which is a 3.4 difference, which is crazy.
That's huge, isn't it?
That is huge. That is huge.
That is significant.
So, worldwide box office for the first one was 283 million, almost flat, which is good. For a film of that age, that's good. This one then came out to 151 million, if I round that up.
Yeah, 150, 151.
A difference of around 47%.
It's dropped, though, isn't it?
Which is kind of mad, because now people talk of Speed of being one of the greatest action films of that era. But, I wonder how many people you'd ask now if they've seen this one. Have you seen this one? You haven't?
No. I genuinely, it's one of those where, obviously we enjoy bad films, and we kind of have looked into bad films. So I was very aware of it due to that fact.
Yeah.
But before that, I didn't know it existed. Genuinely had no idea this was even a thing.
That's crazy.
why?
Yeah, no, I agree. This does have Sandra Bullock in it, doesn't it? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, so she comes back, and I think she was the only one. Keanu didn't want to.
Yeah, no, fair play
which
to him.
is understandable.
And I mean, he's made some garbage, but fair play to him. I respect him.
Yeah.
So, facts on this one: director, right? You have to stick with me here.
Jan
de Bont. I'm assuming French.
Yeah.
Jan de Bont.
Jan's usually Dutch, so it could be Dutch.
Okay. Was contractually obliged to make the sequel after finishing the first film. Was this the original director then, or did he just not? Did he make half of it? This was the original director. Okay.
Yeah, so he made the first film, and there was part of his contract was he had to make a sequel. I don't know why that was part of his contract, but it was just part of the contract.
He probably came with the idea of Speed and went, look, I want to make this, and they went, okay, if you make 2, then fine. Which is
It makes no sense, does it? Like,
No.
can you imagine going, this is my idea, where there's a bus that can't go in 50 miles an hour, and they have to escape it. They go, make a second.
Make 2. On a boat.
Okay.
So it won awards for the worst sequels at both the Razzies, and I've never heard of this. The Stinkers? Is this a ceremony?
It genuinely is, yeah. It's genuinely
That's
a
so
thing
fun.
called the Stinkers.
We should run that.
I mean, I literally said like this is awards. As soon as I seen it, I put it in there.
Yeah.
I put it in there just to be like, oh my god,
That
like,
is so
there
funny.
There are a legitimate, I don't know what they would call them really, a critic company of
Guild.
sorts that look at stinky films and call them the Stinkers.
God, we
I
should
love
be
it.
part of that. That's great. Many different actors were offered the role to replace Keanu Reeves, including Christian Slater, Matthew McConaughey, and my man John Bon Jovi. That would have been the best film ever.
Can you imagine? I would have 100% gone straight away to watch it.
And
John
you
Bon
know,
Jovi.
there would have been so many Bon Jovi songs. That would have been incredible.
Oh my god!
I need that.
That's the soundtrack. It'd be like that old sort of Little Britain bit where it sings the theme tune, does the theme tune, does the performance. You just do it all like
That needs to be made. That sounds incredible. I need that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Speed 2. Are you ever gonna watch it? Maybe we should cover it.
No. Well, yeah, maybe because it's kind of one of those like famously bad films.
Yeah, no, it is.
Especially for sequels. Like I think it's a lot of people don't enjoy it. And again, it's as I said, like Speed. It's similar to Taken.
Yes.
Taken as a film, incredible.
Slaps.
That first Taken, unbelievable. And then for the second one to sort of be like, they took his wife. You're like, why is this happening to you? So
and then isn't the third one they took him?
They took him. Yeah, well they take his daughter. I think I've actually seen all 3 of those. And I think they take his daughter and then he gets his daughter back and then they take him. So his daughter and his mother go after him. But it's just like,
I tapped out of Taken when they made the first one in 18 and the second one at 12. I tapped out.
Yeah, no,
I was like,
fair,
no way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a very similar vibe to that, where it's like Speed is, as I said, it's literally a bus that can't go under 50 mile an hour, which is it's a mental idea.
It's such a fantastic, like, stupid plot line that it just works.
It's so
but then
stupid,
to then do it again on a boat doesn't work.
That's the thing, and to have the same person end up on a boat. Now you can't go under however many knots or whatever it would be. You can't go under this. So I think it's like going straight towards an oil rig.
Mm-hmm.
I believe is the premise. But yeah, just really odd. And apparently this basically, so as I said, Jan de Bont.
Go on, Jan de Bont.
We'll go with that. So I believe that he, as I said, he was contractually obliged, and basically he had a dream of this. So he kept having I mean, it's a nightmare, isn't it? But he kept having a recurring dream of this boat, and that's kind of weird. Yeah, I've got it. I mean, just make it a train. A train,
would be cool.
So much better because it actually makes sense how somebody could be on a train, all of a sudden it gets hijacked. Fair enough.
Or a plane. Plane would be cool.
Plane would be
but boat.
Maybe not around the time. Around the time. Yeah. Planes would have been a great idea. But yeah, I mean, we probably will cover this at some point. Maybe wait for like a big Sandra Bullock film.
Knowing us, we'll watch this and we'll go, "Oh my god, this was the best thing we've ever fucking seen."
Yeah. Again, the first one's so fun. Like, I mean,
it is.
the fact that we're on Runaway Boat, it's probably going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, it's going to be the best
a
one
little
ever.
bit.
I'm pretty sure it's referenced in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so it's got to be gold. What is number 4?
Number 4 is Wonder Woman 1984.
I think this is the first film on the list I haven't seen. Oh no, I didn't see Grown Ups 2. Never mind.
Okay. So, the original movie got an IMDb rating of 7.3,
Have you
which
seen it?
is no.
No, no, me.
Weirdly, I've seen this one. Well, I've seen part of this one,
I've just
and not the
seen
first
Batman
one.
vs Superman and Justice League. That's all I've seen her in. And
But you've
fuck.
never seen Wonder Woman either, have you?
No.
Fair, fair. There are a lot of horny men very angry at us right now.
Yeah.
This compared to 7.3 for the first film. This film did a 5.4, which is different to a 1.9, which is it kind of feels.
It's
Was
right
this
for
the
DC,
first
isn't
time-
it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, was this the first time where the I know DC was never high, but the low really started.
No, that
this the
that was
sort of-
Batman v Superman.
Oh, was it?
Oh,
Oh, did
yeah.
that bad? Did it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fair. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, worldwide box office for the first one. Now there is a caveat to this, but we will get into that.
Okay.
The worldwide box office
Oh,
for the first
yes.
one was 818 million.
Yeah, I mean, this
Which
was
is
like
Wild.
this was DC really pushing this, and people actually cared about Wonder Woman.
I mean, let's be honest. This was probably the first time where we've had like a legit. Because obviously, Marvel, as much as we love it, it took them a long time to get proper women standalone films.
I agree.
So
Yes.
I think for DC to go straight in with, she's basically, was this like the second like standalone film?
It's around that area, isn't it?
I know we
Yeah.
had Man of Steel, and I think it might have been this. I think they just did like the B Superman,
Yeah.
Justice League, and all that. It was like those two and Aquaman were all around the same time, weren't they? So yeah, I can understand how it made so much money, but
Yeah.
then compared to
Sad.
this film, it did 166 million, the difference of 80%.
Unfortunately, it is a very
Which is-
sad situation, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It's wild because I mean, considering it's when you're at 800 million, like it's really hard to lose 80%. that's not even when it's something like 150 down. You're like, it's kind of it's a lot easier to get to an 80%, but
Yeah.
that's significant. That's like more than that's almost all everybody.
Yeah, no,
Almost nobody
I mean,
watches this film.
It is crazy, and like, unfortunately, obviously, I'll let you get into the reason, but like,
Yeah.
it kind of sucks. I almost feel like films in this period shouldn't have counted. Do you know what I mean? It's a really weird one. But then, obviously, the studio was probably like, we just need to release it because otherwise it's going to get fucking shelved for the rest of his life. But yeah, I'll let you carry on. So
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, so I mean, as I was saying, the big sort of caveat was this was in the year 2020, so it was the year of the big.
Coronavirus. Oh.
I don't know how people feel about. I don't know how YouTube feels about we mentioned
Yeah, good point,
coronavirus,
to be
but
fair.
yeah, it's the Rona. It's the big Rona. So that probably did affect the money. Did
Probably.
affect the income, probably. a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean,
Yeah, due to this film being released in the pandemic, it was released onto streaming services as well as cinema.
did you work in the unnamed cinema when this came out? Because
Ooh,
I joined said cinema.
would've.
I joined
I
said
would've.
cinema as
I
this was at
would've.
the end of its run.
yes, I would have because I started just before the big PD.
Yes.
So yeah, I would have been there, and I
Do you remember it at
don't
all?
remember it.
No.
No.
I remember
don't
working
think
at
anyone-
the. I remember like starting there, and we were at the very end of it. So I remember it like kind of people coming
and there was
back
about
and
three people in the screen,
Yeah.
going,
don't look at
"This
me.
is good." Yeah, yeah. It didn't do anything. From what I can remember, because I remember like it was solid.
Yeah.
It wasn't obviously it's nowhere near the numbers that we get now.
Yeah.
But it was solid generally. When a big film come out, people will still turn up for it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But this nobody cared.
No.
So yeah, went straight to streaming. And it went straight to HBO.
Was this
On the
when
day of
HBO
release.
Max was brand new? Was this like one of the first for it?
I
Was it?
think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
would say.
they literally dropped it on HBO on the day of release.
Yeah.
So yeah, HBO reported they had a viewership that tripled on that of a normal day when it released.
Yeah.
It was revealed at least 23% of new subscribers were specifically for that film.
I mean, that's really
So
good,
that's-
right? That like not
It's
to,
very impressive,
not
isn't
to
it?
defend this one because I've never seen it and I've heard it's terrible, but that is really good considering people like subscription services are not cheap, and there was people in COVID subscribing to this specifically to watch this film. I think is a big showing of commitment to these kind of genre films, which I think is really cool. Shame about the film. Sorry if you watched it and hated it, but like Well done. Well done for helping them out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think again, like with because it's a huge film, isn't it? Like it
Yeah.
is a huge film when it's within the DC and Marvel. It's like imagine Marvel just dropping a film now and it going straight to Disney Plus. Like Disney Plus numbers would skyrocket.
Oh, yeah,
because
100%.
it is a huge
I
film.
mean, they did
So
when
I think that
WandaVision
kind
came
of
out.
yeah. So I think it kind of helps. It kind of helps that they dropped it on day of release, and that
Yeah.
probably helped with their numbers and stuff.
100%.
Obviously, it didn't help as far as. But I'm assuming that probably would have been taken into account into the box office. I would assume things like that, but I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it goes into like a separate thing. I don't know how it works personally.
Okay.
But
So yeah, well, there was a little controversy with this, so I will try to be careful with the way I word this.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, there is Steve. Unfortunately, I don't know these people. So Steve, I guess, is Chris Pine.
yes.
How this happened, I don't know, because it was one of those where it came on about half hour into the film, so they were there.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand what happens. Basically, he inhabits a new man's body, and there was a lot of things that happened with Wonder Woman and Steve that this man could technically not consent to.
Ooh, that's weird.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's weird, and again, we've kind of had it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it is a controversy, but we've also had many films like this where things like this have happened.
Oh,
Source
yeah.
Code,
Oh yeah.
the Source Code was a film where
Source Code.
it's a great film. That's the one on the is the Source Code the one on the train?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where he has to correct that day, like
Oh,
he has to try and
yes,
save
yeah.
the train, but then technically he's taken over a man's body and just goes off to live his life. So we have had films like this in the past. Maybe it was just more a thing of the time, and maybe
Yeah.
it was a small number of people that kind of was a bit like, I don't. It's questionable. It's not. It's films. It's not the worst thing in the world. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it was just a bit of. It probably didn't help.
Yeah. Plus, you got to
this
think.
film was floundering as it was.
At this time, the film came out. No one could go and watch it. The few people that saw it probably went, "Oh, that's weird," and then it just went.
Yeah. Exactly. Because obviously around the time we had nothing better to do with our lives. So
Do you
yeah.
remember the last film? Like, sorry to quickly get off subject. Do you remember the last film you saw before COVID came in? Like, did you watch anything in the cinema before we got locked down?
It would have been a while back. I mean, I was there about a month.
Mine was The
It's
Invisible
that
Man.
before. Oh, okay.
I remember watching it, and then the
Because that
next
did
day,
numbers.
cinemas closed, and it went straight to rental online. And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad I watched it."
Yeah. No, I can't remember because I think, as I said, I think I literally like just started. I'd barely been there weeks when this sort of happened. So yeah, I don't really. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what was wrong. But yeah, I remember being Invisible Man. It was very noisy. We're going in being like, God damn, it's very loud.
Such a good film.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Fair. But yeah, very sad situation, but what can you do in it? So, number 3 is a film I don't know how many people know exists. I feel like I have seen it, but probably years ago, and I'm not the biggest fan of the original, sorry. Grease 2. Grease 2.
Yeah.
So the original movie on IMDb was 7.2 out of 10, which feels really low.
Really,
I mean,
really low, doesn't it?
people cream over Grease. Like, people, all they do is talk about Grease. And then this film was a 4.5 out of 10 to a big difference of 2.7, which is...
That's a drop enough.
Is that the biggest drop we've had so far? Yes. it is.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, so domestic box office. So this is a very different situation.
Yes.
So Grease 1, domestic box office was 182 mil. Whereas this one is roughly 14 mil, give or take. So it's a difference of 92, but I believe this was straight to DVD.
It was, yeah. So I think this is pretty much just DVD sales.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was pretty much the only number I could find.
No, makes
This
sense.
is like the only number that basically exists for the second film.
Yeah.
So I thought I would include it just to be, just to have a comparison of sorts. But I mean, still, a difference of 92% is wild.
That is crazy.
But also not surprising because it's Grease 2. Who the fuck knows this even exists?
Yeah, no, exactly. I remember my sister having this as like a 2-pack of films, and I don't think we ever watched Grease 2. It was always just Grease 1.
No, you don't.
No. So, some facts. They're back. The Stinkers voted this as the 13th worst film of the last century. Are they still a thing?
Century. I don't know. Should we take over? All these
Yeah.
people has distinct keys.
Yeah, I want this thing. I want it.
Yeah, no, I think we could definitely go. I think we definitely got a plan for the end of
100%.
the year.
Yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
it had a budget of 11.2 million, which was more than double of the previous film, which is bonkers. The fucking car flies at the end of Grease. How the hell did they manage that?
When you think of it, it had a budget of 11.2 million. It made 14.
That's crazy, isn't it? So this was one of Michelle Pfeiffer's first major roles, which is really surprising. So what year was this? 80 something?
I don't know. You're asking me now, buddy. It was a while ago.
I love how I'm asking you the things you didn't research. So yeah,
No,
this
I know.
was one of her major first roles as she took over the
Yeah.
lead girl role from Olivia Newton-John. It's not Sandy though, is it?
No.
Okay.
No. So I think originally they had planned. But it sounds a bit odd, to be honest. So basically, I think the original plan was they were going to bring John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John back, and they were going to be in college. So that was kind of the initial plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously as time went on and everything, I think they both. I mean, they went on to be huge,
Humongous,
specifically John Travolta. So I think they both kind of were like, we're good. We don't really need this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just kind of gradually turned into this, which I think is still the same school, but like maybe a few years later.
And is this still a
believe.
musical? Silly question, but is it still a musical?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. So I think this was. Yeah. So I think she basically Michelle Pfeiffer was a bit like, I can kind of sing,
Yeah.
I can kind of dance, and they were like, yeah, we love you. You're gonna do it. So she was like,
That's crazy.
okay.
That's wild.
But yeah, apparently they were like, they were really odd. Like the director would like send paparazzi around her house and thing around to like where she was and stuff.
What?
She said like it was a really odd experience of a film.
Yeah, I can
Well, she
imagine.
apparently she was like really shy and stuff, so they was
Yeah.
trying to like bring her out of her shell a bit more. But it's just fascinating to see how huge Michelle Pfeiffer's become.
And I mean, she's
And
done
then
a massive musical in that time. She did Hairspray.
she did,
You know what I mean? Like she
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
has proven herself in that lane as well, which is kind of
Yeah.
crazy. But I've never even heard a single song from this film, as far as I'm aware.
No, I couldn't tell you. There's probably a song. There's probably the one song
Yeah.
on this thing where you'd go,
Oh, I've heard this,
I've
yeah.
heard that somewhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, just I think this is like the one of this entire list, maybe with another one.
yeah,
That people I didn't even realize was a thing. It was one of those where I've heard of it. I mean, it was like, oh, it's in Greece too. But it was always sort of like, are you just talking bollocks?
yeah.
Like,
This
is
was
this?
there was always a channel on the TV, and I can't remember what channel it was. It was like it was literally called like Free Movies or something. And this was always on, like fucking
Yeah.
constantly
Oh, okay.
rerun on. And I know it probably does have its like fans. It probably does. There's probably people who go, this is
Yeah,
better
no,
than the
it's
first
better,
one.
unfortunately,
Yeah, I can imagine. But like, I can never imagine watching it. And I know for a fact as a family we never watched this. I know we didn't.
No,
And
no,
we
I don't
watched
think anyone
everything.
did, man. I don't think any family sat down and watched this.
Grease 2 to like kids? No. But yeah,
No,
strange.
thank you.
Very
No, thank you,
strange.
Bobby.
Very
So,
odd.
on to number 2.
Oh, what a
which
classic
I
of
had
this
to-
channel.
I had to include.
Yeah,
It's one of our favourite
it
stuff.
is. It is.
It's Son of the Mask.
What a
And we
film.
have covered this film and it is fantastic.
It is so good.
Oh, the original movie, which again is a legitimate classic. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
iconic, isn't it?
Mhm.
So yeah, the original movie did a 6.9 on IMDb, which feels because it's out there.
Yeah, it's one of those films as well. If you really look at it, it's not really rated that high. It's just become a favorite for everyone who's seen it. Do you know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
not like rated a very good film. It's just massive now.
It's not going to win the Oscars as
No,
the first
God,
one,
no.
but it's a great film.
Yeah.
Compared to this film, which is a 2.3 out of 10, a difference of 4.6.
My
Now
God.
that is a drop.
That is.
That is sad.
That's sad.
Worldwide box office, 352 million for the first film, which is huge. Isn't
That
it?
is massive.
Really.
Yeah.
considering this was like a random IP, and it is a comic book.
I would have
It's a superhero
loved.
film.
I'd love to go back in time and see a full cinema for the first Mask film. Jesus Christ, that must be such a brilliant atmosphere. People must be fucking dying watching that film.
I wish Deadpool would bring Mask into the Marvel universe.
Same. Oh, same.
Yeah, he is technically a superhero.
Before
so
we go
that's
any further,
probably
sorry.
crazy numbers.
There is a fan film currently being made, which I've seen clips of, where they go in the more violent route, like the comics. Looks insane. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, because
cool.
I've heard the comics are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see in the first film,
Yes.
where it's like
Eyeballs
there is a
pop
lot of
out,
ridiculous violence, but it's toned down for the kids. So yeah, 182 million ish for the first one. This film, 14.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
14.
That is wild.
We'll give it 15.
Yeah.
Nice. Why not? Difference of 92%. Now that is a difference of. My God, Daniel, I have looked at the wrong.
Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah.
First film did 352 million.
You're right on that one.
This film did 60 million. Difference of 83%.
You just couldn't move past Grease 2, like.
My God, I was so obsessed with Grease 2. I thought, Christ, that was a similar number. Sorry. This film did about 60 million. So yeah, difference of 83%, which is still a crazy drop. To not even like make the 100 million mark is wild.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Oh, some fun facts about this film. Hopefully they are the correct facts.
Yes, we covered these in the other video.
Yeah. Nintendo Power did a competition with the winner getting part in the original Mask 2.
Yes.
It was cancelled. They received £5,000 and a few goodies instead, which is kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah, they literally received like a Nintendo 64 and shit.
It's like you would have thought that bare minimum you could just go, look, we're not making Mask 2, which is what you wanted. Here's some of the Mask, just a cameo.
Yeah.
Something like, to just go, here's 5,000 and.
To be fair, the kid who won, he got a jacket from the film that had the logo for Mask 2 on it. Now, I would love to see that jacket, and I would love to know how much it went for in the end.
Oh my God, that was like
insane.
Insane
numbers.
Thousands. That could be a six-figure thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So Jack Black and Ryan Reynolds were offered the role of Tim, but both turned it down. Can you imagine Jack Black?
I was just about to say, I'm actually glad he turned it down. Can you imagine? Just like making all these noises and shit and singing, like, because obviously there's like musical moments. It would have I probably wouldn't have liked Jack Black if he did this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Oh, no, this would have been too much. 100%. Too much.
I think Ryan Reynolds would be great.
Yeah, if he was doing his whole Deadpool shtick at the time, this would have been fine.
Yeah, if you put Ryan Reynolds now as Mask, would be great.
Funny as fuck, yeah.
Maybe for the time, maybe a bit different, but quite interesting anyway.
Yeah.
This won awards. We are back at our award ceremony for the worst sequel at both the Razzies and the Stinkers, and won worst film of the year at a new one, the Golden Schmoes.
What does the Schmoes mean? Who are these people?
I don't know. Who is this man? But yeah, so it's basically if there were any bad award ceremonies out there, this one. Everything.
Yeah.
Does it mean people hate this film?
Yes, they do. And I was a hater for the longest time. And then I rewatched it for this channel and I went, oh my God, what a fun movie.
It's great, isn't it?
But it obviously is terrible. Like, this is a terrible, terrible film. But we have fun with these types of films, so naturally we get to gravitate towards it.
Yeah, we gravitate towards it.
But like, this is horrible. I'll never forget. I can't remember if we saw this in the cinema, but I do remember.
I definitely didn't.
Make sure the police aren't listening to this, but we had a pirate copy of this film in the house. I remember, and we watched it, and
was it a blank disc with Mask 2 written on it?
Son of Mask. But I just remember us watching it and just looking at each other and being like, what's this? Obviously we were all expecting Jim Carrey and that, and it's just it's drastically different. But yeah, what a strange movie.
Yeah, just bizarre, isn't it? Because this is definitely around the time where this was a thing. I still don't understand why people don't go something to where they go son of or don't. Yeah. I just think why why have we got to do this? Unless it's a case of they literally. There is a child in the first film, and you go, oh, okay, that's going to be the second film. I've never understood why Hollywood seems to not like 2 at the end of a film and just wants to put something different on it.
The bit I never understood about this film, obviously I know there's Norse mythology in the first one, but it's like just about, it's just there. But in this one, they go full Odin and Loki and Thor, and they mention Thor, and it's silly. It's so silly.
I think if this wasn't a mask film, it would have probably been like serviceable. I think because it's a mask film, because the first one again is probably a bit of a cult classic as well. It did very well. A lot of people hated this more.
Plus, unfortunately, Jim Carrey being one of the biggest actors ever, obviously that first film was going to do well anyway because of his appearances on like Saturday Night Live and that. But this had nothing. This had fucking what's his name? Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Who the hell watches a film for Jamie Kennedy?
I know, and I kind of feel bad for him because like they're huge shoes to fill, and they. So I think I respect the man for doing it. He took his own take on it. It was garbage, but we love him for
Have you watched his YouTube channel about this film?
No.
Right, get into bed tonight and watch Jamie Kennedy talk about Son of the Mask. It is so interesting.
Oh, is it really?
It's about 3 episodes, about 3 hours long. It's fantastic. Get on it.
Okay,
Thank you. No problem. And then number 1 on our list is a film that I knew existed, but I never seen, I never want to watch, because I'm not really the biggest fan of the original. It's obviously a classic, but Exorcist 2, The Heretic, which is, I obviously watch a lot of horror content now. I now know the legends of this film, but like, we'll get into it. So, original movie was an 8.1 on IMDb. I think it should be higher. It's a classic, do you know what I mean?
It's the highest rated film on this list, and it probably should be, but I know it was extremely controversial at the time, so I think an 8.1 is probably about right, because I think you can, if you critically look at it, you go, this is a horror classic. I mean, it's hugely
it's the horror film.
Yeah, but again, as I said, it was kind of around the same time as there was a lot of these controversial horror films that were getting banned in a lot of places. So it was with his controversies, but again, 8.1 I think is fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's about 3 different versions of this film. There's about 3 different cuts, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there are. Yeah.
So this one got a 3.8, so a difference of 4.3. Massive. I mean, Exorcist 2 was never going to do well, but that's crazy.
No.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think they went on to make 6 of these? 5 or 6, maybe, possibly. So worldwide box office for the first one is really impressive for the time. Like, for the time, insane. 429 million, give or take. That's wild.
Again, I think the controversy probably helped greatly.
Oh my god, yes.
I think the fact people are going, I couldn't stand this, I fainted, I was sick, it was all that sort of thing. I couldn't even get through this film. Yeah. You needed to see this film to understand what the hell is going on.
This was the original film making those headlines. Like, we get that all the time now. Terrifier 3 is just around the corner. Yeah. We're gonna get it again. But this was it. And this one made 25 million. A sad 25 million. So that is a difference of 94%. That's crazy.
That's ginormous, isn't it? And it's just wild. Especially considering, like, horror just makes money.
It does.
You can drop any old shit in the horror world, and it just makes money. Both of us worked in a cinema. Still can't work as well. But we both work in cinema. Yeah. And you see, it could be any bollocks. It's just, look, it's a little scary. And people turn up constantly. Couples turn up. Girls go to see with their mates. Boys go see it. But everyone just goes to see horror
Some
films.
people can't hack smile, Crazy.
Thank you.
But yes, it is crazy considering like the level of film as well. A sequel to one of the most influential horror films of all time. And it made that measly little amount, which is very sad. So, facts. The original producer and director did not return for the film as they both had lawsuits. Both against each other.
Basically, they both had, so both the producer and director fell out, I think, with each other, fell out with the company, fell out with everyone. So, currently, when this film was getting filmed, they, as much as I don't think they wanted to return, I don't think they literally couldn't because they both had separate lawsuits
but I'm pretty
against
sure
each other.
The director came back for 3.
Possibly,
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't look that far ahead.
So during the climactic scene involving locusts, they were imported from England. 2,500 were brought in, and controversially, they died at a rate at 100 a day.
Yeah, so I don't know. Again, I haven't seen this, so I didn't really understand. Like, I seen that, and I thought That's really odd.
That is
So
odd.
there must be a huge scene with locusts at the end. But for some reason, I don't understand why they've imported them from the England firstly, but we're like basically going, here's 2,500 locusts. We're fully aware that we're going to lose all of them. So they just kind of threw them out, and I
Yeah.
think they were just it's basically killing them, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
basically just going go off, die,
Yeah.
go off, die, just for a scene,
A film, yeah.
which really wasn't worth it for that 25 million.
No. No way, no way.
Yeah.
And there were at least 3 different versions of this movie, all with alternate endings. Now, I do know about this because I watch a lot of horror content on YouTube. That's crazy, though. Like, we kind of don't do that so often anymore. Like, we get alternative endings and stuff on Blu-rays and stuff like that.
Like the original Snyder cut.
But yeah, that's crazy. Like 3 different versions of the film. That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah, I think they probably dropped this and they went, "Ooh,
Oops.
this sucks." So they were like, "Well, what if this happens?" And everyone goes,
No.
"No, this still sucks." And they went, "Okay, what if this happens?" And everyone went, "No, this
No.
still sucks." And they went, "All right, we'll just make a third, fourth,
Yeah.
fifth, and sixth."
Yeah.
So it's bizarre how this is a franchise. I don't know. It just shows how horror can just get made because you don't need a budget for it.
Yeah, and
you
I
can
mean,
just make horror.
I'm very interested in watching this one specifically now because obviously, was it last year we got Exorcist Believer? That thing was abysmal. One of the worst films I've ever seen. And
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
didn't like it, did
no,
you?
if it's even that bad, like, it's just got to be a little bit better, and this is probably amazing. Like, do you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah, it was the same girl, so I'm quite fascinated. There's a lot
oh,
of
she
these
came
older
back for
films.
it, did she?
Yeah, same girl.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, there's it's quite fascinating. I think it's similar to Omen for me, as I sort of like described Omen 3
Yeah.
to you the other day.
Yeah,
And I'm
that
like,
sounds incredible.
I need to see like 2 and 3. I've seen the first one. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's a bit silly, but it's all right.
Mhm.
But I need to see 2 and 3 just for the fascination. I think it's similar to this now.
Yeah.
Exorcist, as much as I'm not going to watch 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
There's at least I'm curious enough to watch 2
I
just
know,
to see if it.
I know Exorcist 3 has a major cult following. Like, people love Exorcist 3, and it's
really?
because Brad Dourif's in it, the voice of Chucky. He's in it.
Oh,
Yeah, and I
okay.
know people really, like, they hold that film dear to them. It's a very big film, so,
Interesting.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
That was bizarre.
That is. Yeah, that is our list. As I said, it's not the worst sequels in the world. It's just some
Interesting
stinkers.
ones. Stinkers.
Some
Yeah.
stinkies.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you thought of this. I guess more factually. It's
Also, this is a chill
Raw.
video. Like, you get a cup of tea, you put this on. Oof,
Yeah.
this is the vibe.
Yeah. See if you prefer us doing this rather than just chatting our opinions. Don't care
Yapping
about our
about
opinions.
Hot Fuzz.
Prefer this. Yeah. Don't care about our opinions. I prefer this sort of style. Then let us know.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. Tell us your worst sequel.
Yeah.
Tell us a sequel that you watched and just thought, oh, my baby.
What would
have they
yours
done
be?
to you?" Ooh,
I mean, if I'm
I don't know.
talking like non-direct sequels, not number 2, mine would probably be Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah, because the first one's pretty good, isn't it? Really. Yeah. It'd probably be something like that. Off the top
Horrendous.
of my head, I can't really think of anything that I
Yeah.
was like, oh no, they ruined it.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's a lot of like, especially Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
most currently it's a bit better,
Yeah.
but especially the old like 2s of most films are a bit stinky.
I know
compared
the worst sequel. Iron Man 2. I got him.
to-
But anyway, yes. Thank you very much. Let us know your worst sequel down below. All the socials will be on the end slide. Make sure you follow us everywhere. Subscribe here. Do all that good stuff. And we will see you next time.